All right, welcome back in. We have defender Alana Cook with us. We're going to get started here. And once again, we will start with questions in the room. But if you have a question on the Zoom, use the raise your hand feature and we'll get you called on. So who wants to start? Daniel?
Okay. Since you've come to this team, it seems like the back line is really kind of shaped out into the point where not a lot of goals conceded from open play. If they are, it's been like the fluky own goal and the shot from like a worldy shot. What do you think has been the key for you guys, not only in being so intense defensively, but also gelling as a group that's still kind of learning? Like, I'm pretty sure you don't have double-digit games yet together as a back four.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've put some pieces together now that have really gelled. Probably took us a few games, and I think took some of us newer players, a little bit to get used to the system, to get used to, being around each other. But I think one of the reasons that I came here was to get to learn from Vlatko and his kind of defensive mind. And I think the way that he's instilled kind of good habits, the way he's taught us different things, whether that's stepping in front of a player, different techniques for doing those things. I think you're seeing it all come together, and I think, the stats sheet has shown that. We've gotten a lot harder to beat, I think, as the season has gone on. So, I think that's something that we really pride ourselves on. And even if we do well in a game, even if it's, a big win, I think we're still coming back to the drawing board every time, looking at, like, did we get every single moment right? And if not, how do we get better at it? So I think it's just a relentless commitment to being as perfect as we can be in all those situations. And, the coaches and the players are dedicating themselves to that.
How different is Vlatko here than he was with the national team for you? Is there a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I had this opportunity to come here, a lot of it was, I had gotten to see bits and pieces, I think, of what he was capable of with the national team. But I think being here where he has, a touch point with the players every single day, I think you really get to see how good of a coach he is. And, I think he does so well to be able to look at a whole season, be able to develop us every single day with, at the end of practice, I can ask him, like, hey, do you have something for the center backs? And he's like, oh, I always have something. So I think for him to be able to get to work with us every day, I think you really get to see his brilliance as a coach. And I think we've all gotten so much better getting to have, whether it's 2 or 5 minutes every day, just a little something extra to work on that's position-specific or game-specific. So, I think he's really just built on the things that I saw were his strengths at the national team.
I know you weren't here with the team kind of in preseason at the beginning of the year. But even when you were in Seattle, when like Temwa started kind of highlight reels, or like people started seeing longer game clips of her, what was kind of the reaction outside, and like seeing what she can do, and how has being in the building with her maybe changed or even kind of amplified everything that she can do?
I think it's always exciting watching the off-season moves, and I think especially seeing players from other countries come in. It was excited to see, more players from Africa and from, just different countries, different continents joining the league. So I think, you always have your eye on those new players, see how they do, how they adjust to the league. And I think as we saw Kansas City really start to get going and saw Temwag start to get going, I think there was a sense of we had really, around the league, had never seen a player like that. A player where you're kind of adjusting maybe your whole defensive game plan, or maybe your whole offensive and defensive game plan around one single player. I think that's an incredible, shout out to her, is that you have to go into a game against Kansas City and you have to take time to prepare for one player. And so I think we all just respected from the outside what that meant, and, how impressive her game was. And I think getting to actually be here, get to know her, play with her, I think I joked with some of the girls when I was on the plane out here. I was watching one of the games, and I kind of took a deep breath and was like, I actually never have to defend that in a game again. Like, I'm now safe. But I think the best part is getting to know her and just realizing how humble, how appreciative she is for this opportunity. And I think she's always the first person to turn around and thank everybody else for helping her get to where she is. So we, always just want to pay her back for that, gratitude and humility with, putting her in the best situations possible. And, I think for us, she's undoubtedly the MVP of the season. I think, obviously no one has ever matched what she's done in this league over the past 12, 13 years. And especially to come in and do it in her first year. I think you see a lot of players come from overseas, come from different leagues, and it takes them a season, or maybe half a season, but to come in and be as impressive as she's been, to me, there's no other player like her. I don't think we've seen a player like her in the history of the league, and I think this season especially, she is the winner for me in that category.
All right, thanks, Daniel. Do we have any questions on the Zoom for Alana? Alana, as we reach the end of the regular season, can you kind of put in perspective what it's been like, especially since your move to Kansas City, the historic aspect of this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into the season, I don't know if we around the league knew just how solid this team was going to be. And I think you saw some of the early results and you knew, okay, there is goal scoring prowess. And I think as we talked about a little bit more, now that kind of the defense has started to match that same level as well. I think it's just incredible to get to be here and live this experience. I think, we try and pay it back as much as possible to the spirit of Kansas City. I think Vlatko referenced that a lot. Our fans appreciate us because we represent the grit, the hardworking, the blue-collar nature of the city. I think you're seeing that pay off. I think you can never doubt this team when we go into games that we're going to work as hard as we can and try to do all the little things right every single time. We have forwards who are making selfless runs back and will end up, on our defensive goal line because that's how bad they want to help the team. That's how bad they want to win. So, it's little things that people might not see, but that's what leads to, players like Telma having an insane amount of goals or, people having standout seasons, being able to put playoff games in this new stadium. So it's incredibly to be a part of, and, we just hope it lasts all the way this year.
And how do you take that attitude and use it towards finishing out this regular season in Chicago this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've used every game to just build upon the last and to make sure that when we hit playoffs, we're peaking and that we've practiced and we've trained and we've gotten every single habit in place. So it's the same things. We're making sure we do all the little things right every day in practice, every game, and that's what our film review's been. That's what our training's been. So this next game it's the most important for us because it's the next game that we have, and it's our most important opportunity to get ready for the playoffs.
All right. Any other questions for Alana? Well, that's it for us today. We are on the road, and we will be in action on ESPN Sunday at 2 p.m. Thanks, everybody.